NASCAR 21 Ignition releases on October 28th, 2021, and that is actually the day of this review. And with a brand new journey for NASCAR gaming, players' hopes were high, but the question is, does the game live up to the hype? We're going to find out here today. It is very important to note that I am reviewing this game on the very first day one patch copy that was sent to me, as that was the copy that this game was meant to be reviewed on by myself and other creators and companies, etc. So I'm reviewing it on, like I said, day one patch. There's already been another patch and then a third patch confirmed for NASCAR 21 Ignition. Major credit to Motorsport Games for acting very quick on these glitches and getting patches sent out already. But like I said, this review is not about these patches post-release. It's all about the day one patch release version that we were sent to review on this game. So I am actually playing this game on my NZXT streaming PC. You can look up the specs in my description below, and I was provided with a copy of NASCAR 21 Ignition from Motorsport Games. So big thank you to them, and I do appreciate it. So let's jump into the review here, NASCAR 21 Ignition. NASCAR 21 Ignition starts a new journey, obviously, for NASCAR gaming, as Motorsport Games made a big move, acquiring Studio 397, most known for developing the R-Factor series with R-Factor 1 as well as R-Factor 2, and they have played a huge role in developing the brand new physics model of NASCAR 21 Ignition. The game is also developed on the Unreal Engine, which is a huge step up from the previous Unity engine from the NASCAR Heat series. Being a new generation of NASCAR gaming, obviously we were expecting a fairly bare bones game here for this first installment of this new journey for NASCAR gaming, and that was definitely exactly what we got. And I think we knew that was coming as soon as we saw that it was only going to be the NASCAR Cup series featured in this game, compared to previous years where we had trucks as well as the Xfinity series in NASCAR Heat 2 to Heat 5, as well as even a dirt series. So multiple segments to dive into about this game, but we're going to start off with the graphics and overall look and presentation here of NASCAR 21 Ignition. This game is hands down the most beautiful NASCAR game to date. I have not seen any NASCAR game ever come close to this, with stunning graphics that make your jaw drop at its beauty. I've been blown away multiple times here, especially when it comes to night racing. Now, there's not a lot of night racing in NASCAR 21 Ignition, but when you get that opportunity to do a night race, it blows you away. Daytime, of course, still looks incredible as well. The sun rays, track lighting, all look incredible. The car models are very accurate with stunning reflections from the surrounding environment as you race around the track, and just overall a huge step up, to say the least, from Motorsport Games from the NASCAR Heat series when it comes to the graphics. And players continuously asked for a step up in graphics for the NASCAR series, as NASCAR Heat 5 could have easily been an Xbox 360 title when you look at the graphical aspect of that game. So Motorsport Games absolutely delivered on the whole graphics and just visuals of this game this year. Along with the major step up in graphics, NASCAR 21 Ignition has a tremendous presentation all around, with cinematic introductions to each practice, qualifying, as well as a race session, commentated by MRN's Alex Hayden, who does a tremendous job building up the hype here throughout the weekend, especially into the pre-race now. And the pre-race presentation features 3D models of drivers and cars, plus the United States national anthem. In the practice, you can see your car in the garage. The team pushes you out of the garage and whatnot, and you see a cameraman kind of walk up to your car before you actually get pushed out. This is a major step up from what we had previously with the Heat series, but this gets very repetitive extremely quick here now. As after I saw the first one from my career mode in the Daytona 500, I felt like I'd seen all of them. It's just the exact same format, each and every single little intro to a session. So nonetheless, like I said, a big step up, but I would really like to see Motorsport Games step it up even further and dive into for future installments to reduce the repetitiveness of these pre-race introductions and whatnot, and just add a little bit of diversity here and there now. But like I said, nice step up, but definitely needs some work to take it to that next level. So now moving on to the sound in NASCAR 21 Ignition. The sound very well done overall, giving us a fairly accurate engine environment and crashing sounds to the game. The sound mixing definitely has some flaws here and there. Like, I can't hear my own car in the cockpit view over other cars when I'm racing at like Daytona, so I'm hearing what everybody else is doing but not my own car. And when I am racing at Bristol and crashing with a pack of 40 cars because the AI have no idea how to avoid incidents, well, I can't even hear my car or the other cars because the crowd is cheering so loud. So that kind of takes you out of the immersive kind of feel of the game sometimes. So just balancing of the sound mix definitely is something that needs to be worked on. The spotter, voiced by Freddie Kraft, who is Bubba Wallace's spotter in real life there at 2311 Racing, is very well voiced. I think that this has the potential to be the best spotter from a NASCAR game to date, but right now it is extremely bugged, and it just sounds like he's rapping to you the whole time about being 3 wide, about the leader being on pit road, you name it. He's got some song prepared for you here on the racetrack. So I actually myself turned the spotter audio off after one single race in NASCAR 21 Ignition, but hopefully that's something that gets worked on. Overall, a very promising sound that this game has here for the future, especially when you're crashing. It really gets you into it here when you're hitting the wall, hitting other cars, smashing into you, and the sparks are flying everywhere. Just visually, sounds, presentation really does shine in NASCAR 21 Ignition. The HUD in the game when you're racing on track is very slick here in NASCAR 21, showcasing the running order, the lap count, your position of course, and your speed on your screen. However, there is no option to see how much fuel you have in your car or what condition your tires are in. I can only wonder how on earth this did not get put into the game. Now, I am not fully against having to kind of guess where I'm at with fuel and with my tires. I'm not against not seeing it, but it absolutely must be an option to have it on, especially for the casual player. So definitely Motorsport Games needs to look into getting that as soon as possible, because to me it's unacceptable to not have your fuel as well as tire condition on the HUD in your game, or at least as an option to show it. So something that definitely needs to be added into NASCAR 21 as soon as possible. So we talked about, of course, the look, the presentation of NASCAR 21 Ignition, but now it is time to dive into the overall gameplay and features of this game. NASCAR 21 Ignition offers a pretty basic set of features, from career mode, single race now mode, online, as well as a paint booth. You can navigate these features with a very slick and easy to navigate main menu, probably my favorite main menu so far in the last 5-6 years of NASCAR gaming, so that's one positive there. The highly requested and anticipated revamped paint booth certainly has lived up to the hype in some sorts, offering endless possibilities for players to create paint schemes on their custom cars, where you have up to 8 slots available, which something that needs to be changed as well. They definitely need to add more slots, but the paint booth offers lots of shapes, sponsors, number variants. You can change the outline, you can do a lot of stuff there with the numbers, and of course colors to use. A lot of variety there to create whatever you can possibly think of here in this NASCAR 21 Ignition paint booth. So it is a large step up from the Heat series, but it is lacking some crucial features. There is no option to add text on your car. There's no option to make a custom logo and save it for future use on other cars that you make, although there is a bit of a workaround where if you can actually get very detailed and make a custom logo on your car with shapes and stuff, you can actually copy it from that car and paste it on another scheme. So it's not impossible to do it, but it definitely is more complicated than it needs to be. There is no option to hide numbers, making custom number making a very challenging task, although we have seen people that are very skilled with designing paint schemes like Drive-Thru or Lefty, as well as Joey Stone, actually be able to still find a way to make custom numbers by just blending in the number template with the actual custom number they're making. But there's also no option to share paint schemes for other players to use, which is a big letdown. And there is as well no option to use your custom car in an online race. To me, making custom cars almost feel pointless if I can't show them to the public on track. So that was a huge letdown right there. But overall, paint booth, a step up, but lacking some very crucial features that need to be put in this game. Multiplayer offers exactly what you expect in NASCAR 21 Ignition, but with the interesting development choices at hand. You are offered 2 race type options: shake and bake playlists, where you can race at super speedways and intermediate tracks, or you have the bump and run playlist, which contains short tracks and road courses. So you can't just do all tracks in one. You have to kind of choose between which one you want to do more, which I'm not personally a big fan of. Private lobbies as well are currently absent from the game, which apparently they are coming, but it is not in this current state of the game, which is one of the biggest misses I've seen so far, in my opinion, for NASCAR 21 Ignition. Leagues are absolutely killed for the time being, and as a person that races in the Nitro Racing League in the NASCAR Heat Series, this is a massive letdown. We have no idea what's going to happen here for the future of our Nitro Racing League, so that is very, very disappointing. Players are basically forced to race with a bunch of other players and trolls that they may not want to race against simply because we don't have private lobbies. There's also no way to kick trolls from a session, so you're stuck with them until they leave. Plus, players do not ghost when stopped or going backwards on the track, so there's nothing you can do about the trolls. If they want to get you, they're going to find a way. So these are serious major flaws that must be fixed as soon as possible. But apart from these serious issues that plague the multiplayer, once avoiding early race chaos and bugs, which we'll have plenty to talk about later, the overall racing experience in online is better than any experience in the past Heat franchise, providing close racing with tremendous physics, creating a fun and even sometimes thrilling race experience. So, as many flaws as there could be, multiplayer, in my opinion, really does show off the true potential of this game the most from a just pure racing standpoint, showing off the physics. And you've seen so many good battles from other content creators. I myself haven't done any online videos, but those are coming. But from what I have seen as well from other people, it looks like a blast once you get the game working and things actually seem to go smoothly. So, single race mode, very self-explanatory, not much to dive into there, as you choose either a driver of your choice or one of your custom paint booth cars and race at the track of your choice, from Daytona to Talladega to a road course at Circuit of the Americas to Bristol Dirt to the short track at Bristol, of the paved version to a mile and a half at Homestead at Miami. A lot of options, of course, there for you now, and you can choose your selected race length, which spans from 2, 5, 15, 25%, 50%, and all the way to 100% race length now, as there is as well day to night transitions in this game. But if you're doing really short races, you're not really going to see it happen. So I myself have yet to actually see this on display here now. So something that I definitely want to see by doing some longer races in the future. Many racing game players buy a game for the career mode. The NASCAR 21 Ignition career mode is what I was looking forward to the most personally, and it shows bits of potential but fails to fully reach it in nearly every aspect. When first starting, you must choose a team to sign for, and you have the option to sign for any team you want, from Starcom to Hendrick Motorsports right off the bat, and every single car in this game is fully equal, taking the kind of path that many players like myself like to take of building your way from the bottom to the top option completely out of this career mode, which immediately takes longevity out of this mode. You can literally win 10 races in a Starcom car because it is just as fast as a Hendrick Motorsports, say, number 5 car that Kyle Larson drives. So that was a very large letdown to myself. It obviously doesn't kill the career mode for me. I'm still going to play it myself because I still want to have fun on NASCAR 21 Ignition and build a story out of my career mode. But you also have a reputation with every team that changes based on your on-track performance. This feature is a nice touch, but in NASCAR 21 Ignition, it feels very pointless, as no matter what the reputation is with any team, you can still sign for whoever you want. So it doesn't really add a whole lot. Now, your career earnings are completely useless as well in this current state of the game, as there is nothing to use money on in the career mode. So it's just kind of like, oh, look at me, I got a lot of money that I can't do anything with. There is no special scene for winning a championship in the game. They do have, of course, post-race celebrations when you win a race, and actually I really like the post-race celebrations in this game, with the smoke, the fire coming out of the background, like those billboards and stuff. A really nice job on the post-race winning of victory lane celebrations, but there's nothing for winning a championship. You just win a championship and then you go. That's it, and into the off season. But I have yet to decide if rivals, by the way, we don't have rivals in this game, so I have yet to decide if that's good or a bad thing, because it was very hit or miss in NASCAR Heat. So we'll have to wait and see if I come up with a different thought later on that. But the career mode does introduce driver retirements for the first time since NASCAR 09, and it allows drivers in lower series to move up their ranks. I've seen Riley Herbst replace Kevin Harvick, Justin Allgaier has moved up. There's a lot of potential there, and that is a very nice step up to see Motorsport Games implement that into their career mode. There's also a very in-depth stats page for every driver in the Cup Series, listing everything you could ever really want. So that was a really nice touch to get into this game, and really really helped set up the future for this career mode with the stats kind of thing down already, so that is nice to see. The overall handling and physics model in NASCAR 21 Ignition was decently developed, and with help from Studio 397, there was high expectations for handling and physics of this game. Now, I definitely felt the similarities to R Factor 2 based off my experience on that game with NASCAR 21 Ignition, but to me that wasn't necessarily a good thing. I never really so far currently feel connected to the car when I'm racing, and I don't really know exactly how my car is going to react based off of the input I either put in on my Thrustmaster TMX wheel or my Xbox One controller that I use on my PC. So overall, the handling and physics, they definitely blow the Heat games out of the water, providing a way smoother experience, a way more just enjoyable experience in terms of actually driving the car around the track. There are many assists to turn on or off, except you can't turn steering assist off, but a patch has come out and you can now turn that off. And as a person that's already tested it, it feels so much better being able to turn that steering assist off. It's only on a wheel though, I'm not sure about a controller yet, so you'll have to wait and see maybe for yourself on a controller. But with turning those assists on or off, it provides a good experience for a casual gamer to a sim racer looking for a more sim feel to the game. Now, there is no options to change your force feedback or settings in general if you're using a wheel, which is mind-boggling to me, to say the least, in a racing video game where I cannot change my wheel settings. I can't even change my force feedback. You also cannot navigate menus or change camera views with a wheel, which I don't know how that does not get put into the game. It isn't the end of the world, but it is a major inconvenience now, as you have to have a controller on you at all times to look back, look around, change the view, do pit settings or adjustments there in the middle of the race as well. You also have the option to change setups in a race from stable to loose, very loose, or tight and very tight. Now, in the day one version, the review copy of this game, no matter what you chose, the setup just kept on going back to stable and you couldn't actually test out the other setups. But in the patch that released today, you can actually change the setups finally, and they will affect your car based off of what setting you have from stable to tight to loose. During a race, you can make adjustments to the car, such as wedge, track bar, tire pressures, grille type, etc. But why on earth are these options not included in the garage menu when choosing a setup? That's right, you can't do any of those. You can't change the wedge, track bar, tire pressures, etc. in the garage menu when you're choosing a setup. How does that get missed? I don't know. And obviously they definitely make a difference, as I recorded a career mode video recently at Homestead, Miami, and I came into the pit lane under green flag conditions, made changes, and I felt them straight away. So nice to have those adjustments, obviously, but a huge miss to not have those in the garage section before the race to actually be able to adjust my car accordingly. The AI in NASCAR 21 Ignition are arguably the worst AI I've ever seen in my time playing NASCAR games since I started back in 2009. The AI refused to slow down to avoid accidents and instead just full send into traffic and hope for the best, usually resulting in a massive accident, which is hilarious to see, but painful at the same time. Passing is almost non-existent at road courses as they just follow the exact same line every single lap, and they just kind of remain the same margin behind one another. I ran into the wall multiple times by the AI as if they didn't care that I was alongside them, specifically mostly at Bristol Motor Speedway, which leads to a very frustrating experience. I've seen the AI stop on the track randomly, smash into the pit entry barrels, flip in the pit lane, and I'm sure there is more chaos yet to be witnessed. I've yet to have a true fight with a single AI car in my time playing so far. I either feel like I'm blowing their doors off or I don't have enough speed to run them down, so I never feel like I'm actually in a multi-lap fight with a specific driver. So the AI being so broken takes a lot of fun out of every single player aspect of the game, and I'm confident Motorsport Games can do some work and fix this, because I see potential in this AI if they really work on it, polish it up, but it is going to take a lot of work now, as we've covered a lot so far, and I hope you're still around at this point. I didn't expect it to go this long. We're like at 19 minutes now, but now is where we get towards the end here and talk about some bugs as well as some issues here in NASCAR 21 Ignition. So NASCAR 21 Ignition launches with a lot of bugs. I've seen many people dropping the excuse of all games come out with bugs. This isn't nothing new. Why are we panicking? Why is this an issue? While this is true, NASCAR 21 Ignition launches with an unprecedented amount of bugs and can easily be compared to Cyberpunk 2077, a game that I've put a good 50 hours into myself so far on actually Cyberpunk as well, and it's just about NASCAR 21 Ignition at this point. But both of these games, very similar. A game with promise, but lots of bugs and obvious cut content still left in the game to be found. There's an unacceptable amount of not only bugs, but game-breaking bugs present in this game. There's players falling through the track into just nothingness, players getting stuck in walls, players' cars doing burnouts in the pit lane after, say, speeding or taking a weird line into it, getting stuck in pit road for 9 hours with the pit stop animation playing over and over again, cars stopping on track, and so many other things. You just cannot get away from bugs currently in NASCAR 21 Ignition. I've experienced more game crashes in the first week of this game than I have from NASCAR Heat Evolution all the way to Heat 5 combined. Setups, like I mentioned, were broken in the review copy of this game, but they are patched now. Stages are not present in the game. That's right, the official NASCAR race format is not present in a NASCAR game. I know many fans hate stages, so this actually might make you happy. I, for one, love stage racing. Actually, I love the playoffs too, so not a very popular opinion, but it's a bit awkward for me when I have to do a full race with no stages. Cautions are extremely hard to get and are also extremely broken. The game can't properly process yellow flags and sometimes mixes up the player's position. The AI also hit everything but the catch fence on restarts, so it's pretty obvious why cautions are so hard to get at this point. I honestly cannot play the game for 5 minutes without experiencing at least one bug in the game. So the cautions, though, are such a deep core part to this game that I really don't think this is something that could get fully fixed in NASCAR 21 Ignition, although I am hopeful that it does get fixed here, and I have hope in Motorsport Games. They definitely are listening to the community and they're putting in the work, and I'm confident that they can definitely still make a playable game here from NASCAR 21 Ignition. But it is extremely obvious that they definitely intended to give us full control of our car from exiting the garage area to manual driving on the pit lane and under cautions in every part of the race. But this is very present in the game files, but obviously they did not actually end up implementing it in the game, and it creates for a lot of awkwardness with the cautions and whatnot. And you can drive in the garage area, which only verifies it even more that they planned us to be able to drive out of the garage, have manual driving under the pits, under the cautions, as it even has little screens when you come into a restart say pacing, stay behind a certain car. They're not going to put that in if they didn't plan to have us manually drive, in my opinion, under caution. So the pit sequence especially as well during caution is really awkward, as the car just immediately teleports from the track to the pits and only works if the game doesn't bug out and it proceeds to crash moments later. So there are so many issues obviously with this game that completely take you out of the immersion aspect of NASCAR 21 Ignition, but with that, there's still very promising aspects of this game, from the beautiful graphics that just make your jaw drop, like I mentioned, the incredible presentation, although repetitive, a huge step forward, and a very bright future for that. In-depth career stats, physics are so much fun to drive with this game here now, as it is challenging, but as well as it's not too challenging where you're just hating your time on track. And overall, I have hope here for the future iterations of the NASCAR game series, but with so many issues currently, it is challenging to enjoy the game overall. And now we know Motorsport Games working hard to put out patches, like literally today putting out the second patch. So they are listening, they're putting in the work to produce a better product for us here. And the day one release of this game, though, obviously is what I was sent a review copy of. It's in an unacceptable condition, and I hope Motorsport Games continues to listen deeply to the community, which they seem to be doing, and continue to fix their product, which as well is what already seems like they are doing. So I'm very proud to see them making these steps forward already within days of release of NASCAR 21 Ignition. But so the question is, should you buy the game? That is not for me to tell you. I encourage you to make a decision based off of my review of my experience, based off of the day one review copy of NASCAR 21 Ignition, as well as check out some other creators' reviews as well. I will link credible ones in my description. Highly recommend checking out David Schildhauser's review of the game. But if you guys enjoyed my first ever game review, it was tough to do. I didn't really know what I was doing, but you know what to do if you enjoyed. Thank you all for taking the time on your day to check out my channel as well as this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.